All right, we are live. It is what is it? Friday, August 11th. State of the network. Nick Hawks here. I think we got Joey coming on. I managed to, yeah, there he is. Oh, and Spiller too. I managed to screw a couple things up before we started this thing. So let me see if I can switch a few things around, make some magic happen. BFG Neil will not be there. Let's see. It's gonna take me a hot second to get everything going here. There we go. What's up, Daniel?
Hey man,
How you doing, buddy?
good, good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Getting everything sorted out
As
here.
always.
Yeah. Let me roll Joey in here. Always takes me a second to get these things ready. Okay. That should be good. Thanks, Joey.
Yo, good morning.
Yeah. Just for the record, Joey was on time. I was not. That was the cause of the problem.
I was here early. So I think I
Yeah.
broke something.
Yeah. No, you're good. I just forgot to put my mic in. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, happy Friday.
Yeah. Heck yeah. We got Fred Garner on, Suburban Crypto, Gregory Pettine, and then my bride Lee out in Indiana. So house is getting full. Daniel, what's going on with you, dude?
All good, all good. Living the dream as always.
I saw some in the news that the Americans are now leaving Portugal because the golden visa is running out and housing prices are getting too expensive. So
I mean, that is true. Like the house, I guess comparing for the salaries of Portuguese people, it's a bit higher. But I mean, there are a lot of other ways actually for Americans or actually anyone else from outside of Europe to come to Portugal.
mhm.
It's a great place. The golden visa actually is not the best way. It's actually a very bad way to do that, and it's very expensive.
Okay.
For those who would like to maybe come to Portugal, the best way to do is like you can prove they have income from outside Portugal, which can be like I think like $10,000 a year, so it's
Yeah.
like nothing.
Joey, we can
If you,
combine our paychecks. We'll get there.
Yeah.
exactly.
We can live together like
Uh,
brothers.
you guys can live in my living room as well.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
awesome. Okay, so there's ways
and
to do it.
then yeah, there are a lot of ways. Like golden visa is a bad way, but yeah, the rents are pretty expensive for Portuguese people.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, still like amazing place to live. I don't want to leave.
It was a nice place when I was there. Let's see. So Helium Foundation released the Q2 protocol report. I was going through it just now. Brandy did. I think it's Brandy did a great job writing that up.
It was actually Angry Bear for the most part.
Oh, Angry Bear. Well done. Well done,
Yeah,
sir.
killed it.
Yeah, crushed it. I saw Medio Scientific made the list there. I don't know if this is still true, but I believe MetSci is the only permissionless unlimited console available right now. I think there are other things that combine stuff, so you can see data visualization like Data Cake, or of course the IoT creator stuff. But I think as far as a console only thing, I think it's the only one. So,
Cool.
although I don't think
Yeah,
I'll be able
I
to
can
compete
see.
with whoever is running $4,000 of data credits a day through through the network.
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
curious about that testing.
I know.
Yeah.
They're about to get an email. Be like, hey, yo,
Hey, how about
sold
how about
out.
that testing? What are you learning?
Yeah,
It's a lot
right,
of testing.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
Yeah,
sure what's going on.
I'm ready to move my prototype of the plant sensor into your console, Nick.
cool.
I've been using the Helium console because I already have everything set up.
Yeah.
But it's the prototype is working. It's been like over a week that's been working, pulling data from the sensors. It's like soil moisture, humidity, temperature, gas pressure, etc. Going through Helium, going to the console, coming to my server, processing the data. So it's a influx the big like through a Grafana dashboard.
Oh, you're back
Um,
to
it's
building.
it's
Nice.
it's so much cool. Yeah, it's been fun over the weekend, and now I want to start building the PCB for it, and hopefully soon I'll be able to announce something that people can use.
Very cool.
Let's see.
I
Awesome.
missed this
Yeah.
news until yesterday, but apparently Maui is on fire and could use some IoT solutions. Someone pinged me on Twitter about it, and they're like, "Hey, can you give me a hand?" I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll certainly point you in the right direction." So
Wow, I just checked pictures here.
yeah,
It's pretty bad.
yeah, not good. But I think
Yeah.
so. Originally, Joey, wasn't it Brian? No, yeah, at Parley Labs. Am I
Hmm.
thinking of that right? who got the smoke detector sensors, like a very, very early helium competition for IoT stuff. But he had done some
Oh
wildfire
boy.
detection.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
smoke
city's on fire.
detections. Yeah. Well, you will probably remember our friend Tim Laws is out there too.
Yep.
I shot him a message. He's safe, but there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. So, cross your fingers for folks.
Yeah.
It's tough. Um,
Tough road to hoe. Well,
but
if there's anything that we can do, State of the Network or Grist King, reach out to me on Twitter, Discord, whatever. Do whatever I can to help.
Same.
So,
Yeah.
ripping. You got some news, Joey. What's this Gateway RS release thing? Yes, I was just like, well, I hope Joey explains that because I don't know what it means.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a technical one.
Yeah, yeah.
If you've sort of followed along in like the proof of coverage channels, things like that, there's probably some chatter going on there. But the general idea is that it used to be the case that your hotspot would use the ECC chip to sign every data packet. This is not proof of coverage. Like, well, it does both, but like for the data packets, it would sign them, and that takes about 140 milliseconds for that ECC chip to sort of wake up, do the signing, send it back to the whole thing.
Yep.
And so what we're going to do instead is that ECC chip is going to like phone home to the Helium packet router. It's going to create a signed session with Helium packet router, so there's some like two-way trust there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's going to allow the hotspot to sign all of those packets with a software key instead of the hardware key, and then send them off to HPR, and it can validate, yeah, that looks right. So we still get that end node to infrastructure trust,
Yep.
but we eliminate a lot of the slowness that was sort of associated with that.
I'm gonna lose my advantage for having my DIY hotspots. This is
Yeah,
how
well,
do
so
I vote
this,
against this?
today this is really just so we're just it's getting rolled out. This is just like a software improvement.
Cool.
It's a it's not going to affect proof of coverage straight out of the gate. However, there are a couple little optimizations to ECC chip signing in there for the proof of coverage packets. So that should hopefully have a little bit of a leveling playing field for
Good.
some of the gateways. Uh, the cool thing, impacts for network users here is the people using data, is that we were seeing the DIY hotspots just far and out like win every single packet, first response for every single one, right?
It was great. It's been a good run.
Right. Yeah, you earned a whole like 14 cents more than everyone else on your data
Yeah,
transfer,
I
right?
was
Um,
really crushing.
the the challenge of that is anytime a device is looking for the two-way communication, downlink from an LNS to the device, the LNS needs to know what uh, hotspot to send that through.
Yep.
And so if you're doing one multi-packet purchase, right, it's always going to be that DIY hotspot that wins because it was signing things way faster.
Yep.
I've got mine. It's in my garage. It's probably absolutely destroying people's join sessions in the Bay Area. And so this change is going to level a lot of that out.
Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we should see basically the appropriate signing time. So it'll sort of eliminate that from packet transfer. So this should improve join sessions and all of that sort of stuff. Um, that's the hope. And so we'll sort of see that go. I'm actively running this software on my DIY right now.
Okay.
It's available for makers, so we're sort of doing all of the maker comms right now to get them to take that and roll it out to the broader network.
Okay. Is there anything that I need to do on mine or the DIY folks in general need to do? All whatever 300 of us. Or...
Update the software.
Yeah. It's like a full new release. It's the first release, I think, since April or so.
Okay.
There's like a lot of stuff packed in there. So if you've got sort of any auto updates going, it's probably has pulled it already. But
I don't, but I'll get in there and manually do it. That was always like this fun thing where I could pretend I knew code and I just copy and paste it in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Zim's asking, do you see session keys as a permanent solution?
Yeah. So for data transfer, I think this is like a really solid solution for eliminating some of the latency that would exist on packet transfer.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be some sort of signing element for packet transfer. It's really important to understand that gateways are doing, the things they say they're doing, and it's
Yep.
coming from real hardware. So it may change, it may sort of shift in form over time, but realistically, we'll probably always be something like that. Whether this comes to proof of coverage or not is probably a little bit more of an open question. Because the
Yeah.
thing you want to avoid is somebody grabbing that session key and constantly uploading that to somewhere.
That's what I was thinking right now. Like you could build the session key and then try to move to different hotspots, some other places. It's just like
Yeah,
like people are optimizing to make like an extra dollar. It's like it's not worth their time. Um,
for data transfer, like this is, it's network health.
Yeah.
And so it's a really easy call to make there. Realistically, for the session key, like you would have to have hardware either way. So, you know, uploading your session key to some server somewhere, like you'd still need hotspots. Like you could do it
Yeah.
without it, but yeah.
Oh, you're getting
Yeah,
Siegfried in
I
the
think
match
so.
in the mix here. What's that, Daniel? Sorry.
No, I think it's a nice move forward. Yeah, to like reduce friction that doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Right. Oh, is this thing going to go immediately super technical?
Yes. I think
Okay.
I think what we're touching on here, one of the big goals for the foundation and sort of the core developers is like today we have this Oracle infrastructure that is effectively run by Nova Labs and Foundation.
Yep.
That is not the end goal, and realistically, we need to make all of those pieces of that infrastructure decentralized.
Yep.
I'm sort of reading that right as I'm talking. It's early. Sorry, Siegfried. Um,
Yeah. I think he's also
it's
looking for a dock to point to, like where people want to kind of figure this stuff out. Where do they start?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it would be the documentation inside of the GitHub repo for the oracles. So there's actually a folder in there with some documentation. He's welcome to ping me. I'll
Okay.
connect him with the right stuff.
Cool. Let's see. I saw a question about, and this is a little bit related, and just that it's in touching on POC, is this Denylist RSSI are showing as too high versus too close. And so if you think about why you get on the deny list, it should be that your hotspot looks like it's cheating, right? But the thing that is difficult to figure out is that you only have the power of the radio, the RSSI, the receive signal strength indicator, to determine distance. And so the two things are very difficult to separate, because it could be that someone has a high power antenna far away or a low power antenna close, or a cheating hotspot, like a hotspot where it isn't supposed to be and it looks like it's much closer. So you have to suss out kind of what is too high versus too far or too close. It's like an interesting question. I'm not sure if there's any very clear answer for it.
There's there. Oh, I guess I'll say there's more inputs than just RSSI and SNR.
Right.
We do understand the asserted location, which will give you a sense of elevation globally, and then terrain comes into play there. So there are things, and you always have to sort of wrap a error range around an estimation like that. But yeah, when you see a packet that's 150 miles away, or a hotspot 150 miles away, right? Like, and it's coming in at RSSI of like negative 110 or something.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sure fail.
Yeah. I think it's not the extreme cases. It's the stuff. It's like, someone's got a bunch of hotspots in the middle of Iowa, which is one of the flatter states. I think Florida is the flattest state, but it's got a lot of trees. It's hard to say that there's any there's no terrain change between these hotspots, and so it gets a lot easier to kind of BS it, versus if you're somewhere in the Rockies, like, okay, well, you're not going through those mountains.
Yeah, we've certainly seen folks doing like tower deployments get kind of caught up in the gaming stuff, and I've been sort of pulled into a couple of those conversations to try and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely on the radar of the folks doing the gaming analysis.
That's right. I saw someone about saying something like they had a 200-foot tower on top of a 6,000-foot mountain. It's like, okay,
Damn.
yeah, that's going to look like it's a little high.
Right.
Just in terms of like it's going to get over a lot of terrain, other stuff's not going to get over.
I don't know.
Okay.
Did you say a 2,000-foot tower?
No. Oh, well, maybe I did, but I meant to say 200-foot tower on top of a 6,000-foot
Okay.
mountain.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh God.
I've seen
Burj
some videos
Khalifa
of those
over
high
there.
towers. I don't
Yeah,
think there's anything
yeah,
6,000 feet though.
right.
Let's see. I saw something that's only possible on Solana thing. I haven't paid a ton of attention to that, but usually, Joe, you're doing the hackathon stuff. What's going on there, dog?
Yeah, marketing team's kind of driving this one, but super cool. Any opportunity where we can start to see synergies between the Helium network and blockchain. So if you got ideas, check it out. That's all. Yeah,
Execute.
that's my
Okay.
plug.
I like
The
it.
last time we did a, I mean, last time we did a hackathon, there were a bunch of cool things that I didn't even expect to come out of it. We had teams building all sorts of really neat stuff, and some of them are still building that stuff, trying to like build it out as companies. So these sorts of hackathons are awesome things to be a part of.
Daniel, are you going to
Yeah.
submit an entry for OPOS, only possible on Solana? OPOS? I don't know how they're going
I'll
to say it.
see. Yeah, I could try to plug some of that. The sensor that I'm already working on. I don't know, but that could be nice. Because yeah, I remember going back to the train again. There was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that were developing on Solana, but had no idea that Helium existed, right? Or had no
Hmm.
contact with hardware or like sensors, etc. So that's like something that's this kind of like hackathon can bring the both worlds together, and new ideas can come up with from that. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I should play around with it.
totally. Check it out. I was just messing with some hardware stuff the other day, and I opened up a drawer, and it's filled with these sensors that I've ordered over the past 2 years. And I was like, fuck, I got to figure out like what I'm going to do with all these things. I can't just sit there and do nothing. And so I started racking my brain. There's a van in my neighborhood that has been parked there for 2 or 3 months and hasn't moved at all. And we report it with this local like Get It Done app. The city of San Diego actually said they're like, hey, we sent someone out there and it's not there. And I'm like, well, that's not possible because this thing is outside my fucking door and it hasn't moved for 3 months. And so Lee and I were kind of laughing, like maybe we should spray paint something super offensive on the side of it so that it becomes a little bit more attention worthy. But I keep thinking, like, what can I do with the sensor to help me fix my problem? And I'm not sure. Maybe I just need like a shape charge and knock a giant hole in the thing. I don't know.
I'm just making notes in my head that if I ever visit you, to be very careful about where I park.
Well, no, I mean you can't park somewhere and leave it there for 3 fucking months. A
Yeah,
couple
Yeah,
days,
Joey.
no big deal.
yeah. Oh man, the street I used to live on, I think there's 7 or 8 abandoned cars on it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just yeah, and
I,
they
I
sit there for.
yeah.
So one of them's been there for like 9 months, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what to do
Wow.
about it. Like I don't
Yeah.
think setting fire to it is the right thing to do. It seems like that would solve the problem quickly.
I was
Um,
thinking if you just flipped it over into the like traffic flow, then the city would have to do something.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's
Or
there's
like,
many options, but it's like, do I use the
you know,
14-year-old boy option that's like the most fun, or do I use the 45-year-old innovative, creative builder that's probably a lot smarter? And I'm not sure.
right?
Well, I know
Yeah,
I am sure which one I'm going to do, but I'm having fun pretending to be a small child.
right.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
But I was also
Yeah.
curious about just like slapping one of the tracking stickers or tracking devices on it so that when it eventually gets towed, I see where it goes and then how long it sits in the next place. Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know if he's checking me out, Fred Garner. I don't think that there's anyone in this thing. I think they just somehow got it there and then walked away. There's no evidence that anyone's
Started
driven to the thing. Yeah.
start a Twitter account that every day take a picture of the van.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like make
Hmm.
like
Make it
what's
famous.
the van
Yeah.
doing today?
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe like put a camera. That's something small project to put like a webcam that every day automatically upload a picture to Twitter.
Yeah. I
So
like it. I like it. I could probably put a webcam up on the pole on top of the house and see that thing.
yeah,
Um, let's see. Only possible on Solana. I saw Bai's doing a bunch of podcasts. That was super cool. They're just getting the word out more. And then mapping rewards for 5G. I've been hearing about this. Have been maybe not insanely high for those of us that were around in the early days of IoT, but super high. And it seems to me. Oh, Siegfried, you're so nice. People have health issues and end up in the hospital. No, it's like it's someone I'm sure personally attacking me. Uh,
of course they are.
you're probably right.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Now he
let's see.
feels bad. Yeah.
this mapping thing. So it's a case of like the pie being one size, and if there's only 3 people taking bites off of that pie, you can take giant bites. But I'm expecting pretty quickly that we'll see those rewards go down. But Bobby, Chad Dawson, insane 5G mapping. I've heard from folks who like just have the mapper in their house in their closet, and they're earning some ridiculous number of mapping tokens. So it seems like there's these little opportunities to earn a ton of tokens for not much work. Not super interesting to me, but whatever.
Is there an explorer for the mapper, like somewhere that like Nova built something that can see the mapping?
Yeah, so they're not going to be publishing the mapper data. It's sort of part of the story of them as a coverage or a service provider. So it's in the hip.
Okay. Yeah. It's gonna be like T-Mobile, not T-Mobile, like all the mobile carriers in the US. They have like world, like the whole country coverage, and then actually it's not necessarily that.
Yeah, like maybe not so good as we thought.
Like Verizon, you go to Verizon, they have like this red like
everywhere.
US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that data is pretty clearly super valuable to someone, but figuring that stuff out will.
Yeah, there's some mapping rewards.
You got some rewards. Nice, Joey. Maybe I should get some stuff from my. I didn't put this in the notes, but I saw that Solana has dropped the price of their phone from $1,000 to $599. So if you've been waiting for a deal,
yes,
maybe now's the time.
I mean,
you'd have to pay me more than that to go to Android, but
yeah. I mean, you and me both, Joey. I was like, I should just get an extra, but I've already got an Android phone, so.
Nothing, Joey's no.
Life is easier on the iPhone. It's great.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my Android. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's useful, especially if you're like kind of hacker builder. You have to have both around because there's lots of stuff that doesn't work with one or the other.
Yeah.
So.
Developing apps is definitely, at least getting approved on the App Store is definitely easier on Android than for Apple, right? Because I mean, even the foundation have a massive struggle to release the app to get it approved. We as well in the beginning. It's not fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of wordsmithing there to help tell the Apple reviewers exactly what we were up to. They think you're an exchange. There was always something.
We learned some tricks as well, like because every time you submit the app, you don't hit the same person reviewing the app. They we just keep hitting send until you get someone that like either doesn't care.
Like, cool, I'm into crypto. Sure, approve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny. Well, that's good to know because I think I'm going to do an app for the VO2 Max device that we continue to work on. And maybe just starting that thing in Android is the way to go because there's some really cool stuff where you can visualize like where you are energy wise and what energy systems you're using, carbohydrates versus fat. And if you're able to see that as you're doing the exercise, my hypothesis is that you can be much more efficient in how fast you improve doing whatever it is you're doing, and more specifically endurance sports, probably not so much for weight sports, but. Bobby's talking about Wi-Fi. So I think Max and I released over on Deep in State the interview with Mario. I love this, Bobby. The 500-pound elephant in the room, that's a small elephant. So there's a giant elephant in the room for sure. And that Wi-Fi is coming. I haven't seen pricing stuff on it. And in fact, I thought it was cheaper than what is here. I don't have a clear memory of what pricing will look like.
I think Armand found some screenshot of it or something. If memory serves me, it was like $100.
Okay, cool.
For the Wi-Fi router.
For the Wi-Fi thing, and
for the indoor version, I think there's two, right?
I think there's indoor and an outdoor. And I got asked a couple questions after we posted that one. You can just go over to I think it's youtube.com/deepinstate or /@deepinstate or something. You can, if you can't find it, then you probably can't participate in life because it's out there. But there's a ton of stuff in there where Mario just walked through what Wi-Fi kind of is and means for Helium and Nova. And if I remember correctly, it's not like a replacement for your current router. It's an enhancement for coverage for phone stuff. So,
yeah. That'll be probably the thing that we have to
excited.
keep reiterating. LoRaWAN, we had to keep telling people it's not Wi-Fi. This thing is Wi-Fi, but it's not Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be even more confusing.
yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, when I have to explain what helium is, I usually use the term. A lot of times I use Wi-Fi, but it's like Wi-Fi, but it's not Wi-Fi. It's only made for like small devices to send small bits of data through a long distance.
Mhm.
Um, Now it's gonna be a bit more confusing indeed, but I'm excited. I'm so hyped about this update. Can't wait for it, so that
yeah,
we all in Europe and outside the US can play around with that as well.
should be able to, right? Right. Yeah. No, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. Let's see what else is going on. My wife and partner, my life partner Lee, is out in Indianapolis hanging out with her family, and so I'm like, they always ask questions like, "What do you guys do out in California?" So it's like, not only do we do like a weird job, but the job itself is so difficult to explain normally. Like this is just going to be super off the map. So I think Leah's gotten a lot of practice in explaining the whole like what LoRaWAN is and the rest of it. But she's gotten super good at saying like, hey, here's how to understand it in a super easy to approach way.
Yeah.
Joe, you got a
It's
boogie?
taken a
We'll come up on the
long
bottom of the
time.
hour.
Yeah, I got 4 minutes.
Okay.
I guess the last plug that I'll sort of remind folks on. Well, so we were talking about events a little bit,
Yep.
and I've already given Helium House the plug. This is us giving the plug again.
Let's do it.
But I think if you are in the Asia Pacific area, you'll also see the foundation team out at LoRaWAN Live in Tokyo, which is actually before Breakpoint. Um, and mention that just because folks are always kind of curious what Foundation is up to and where we're sort of showing off the tech.
Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully be giving I know we're going to be giving a presentation out there. I won't give any sneaker
Are,
previews because
are you going to be out
I think
there?
they haven't. Yeah, I'll be out there.
Ooh, maybe I get to go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Get to get
Oh
over
yeah.
with Joey to Tokyo.
Yeah.
See if I can book my
We'll see.
tickets.
Yeah. I don't think the press release is out, so I won't give any
Don't
teasers
go
on what
blowing anything. No,
we're up
but
to. But
last
yeah.
week Daniel was talking about the whole Asia thing and how they just like they don't care that much about
Yeah.
what we're doing here. And Lee got all fired up. She's like, "We got to be going to Singapore. We got to be going to Taiwan." She's been to Tokyo, so I'm sure we'll go out there now. So,
Yeah. Are you
Cool.
guys going to Token 2049 in Singapore?
I believe part of the team is. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I can't forget to book my flight because I definitely want to go there. I think it's going to be a really nice event.
Yeah.
It's going to be closed from, it's going to be mid-September. So it's like in like 5 weeks
Coming
from
up.
now. Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming up quick. Damn,
Yeah.
it's almost Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be next year before you know it. Let's see. So it's cool to see that Helium is interacting with the rest of the LoRaWAN world, and they have been for a while. One thing that is not Helium news that I thought was super cool is GeoDNet had their white paper published in the Journal of Record for GNSS stuff. So it's really cool to see these deepened projects coming along and interacting like really closely with the regular Web 2 world. That's super unusual as far as I can tell. Most of them are just like, we're outsiders, we're staying outsiders, nobody understands us. And GeoDNet has been like, we're kind of on both sides because we're doing the Web 2 thing already. And it's cool to see Helium pushing also in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The partnerships that we've got, or I don't know if you call them partnerships, like folks just use the network, right? Like we would have to like go sign anything.
Yeah, it's
But like we had that
permissionless.
Twitter post from Senate, and it's
I saw
Dave
that. That's
Gendel
cool.
talking about, like why wouldn't I use a million hotspots in an inventory on this network? Like some of that stuff is just a no-brainer for a existing company. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Although
love to
I
see
think
it.
I'm seeing in my Discord channel, there's been a fair amount of talk from kind of LoRaWAN experts coming in. One guy in particular came in and he's super psyched on Helium and the coverage, but he's also concerned about the kind of quality of service stuff where it's like, he gives the example that he lost coverage in one place and tried to figure out what was going on. And the hotspot owner was like, yeah, my mom unplugged my hotspot when I went to school. It's like, okay, that's
Yep.
not going to cut it. So
Yeah.
there's
And
still
I think
challenges.
we solved that. There's a couple ways to solve that. I'll leave that as a teaser, I guess, as I bow out.
As you-
But expect to hear more on that story soon, SLAs and all of that fun
No,
stuff.
right on.
But
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
cool.
Joey.
Cheers. Yeah. Have a good one.
Loops. All right.
Thanks, man.
Let me cruise back to. I'm going to pull you in on this one, Daniel. There we go. And I'll change the name so that you're not under an assumed name.
Daniel at Helium Foundation.
Yeah.
Free IoT tokens to everyone.
Hotspot. Do you want Hotspot or do you want Deep in DD?
Hotspot for now. I mean,
Okay.
DeepInDD is a temporary name, most likely.
Yep.
Yeah, that can be my plug as well.
Do it.
Just like I guess goes with the GeoDNet as well. One thing that we decided to do, because to help, like to not help, but like working with other projects is something that we call it hotspot giveaways.
Yeah.
Because basically we work with all the Deepin projects, all the Deepin ecosystem, and we decided, okay, we have like a pretty big, a large use base, and then we decided, okay, why don't we combine forces and do some giveaways where the projects can give like hardware in terms of like a giveaway that we can randomly select the users that we have.
Yep.
And then at the end of this month, we're gonna give away, I think, a GeoDNet miner. So I think it's gonna be super exciting. Like GeoDNet is a project that I find is super exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick, you know better than me. I think it's super useful. And then what we decided to do, let's talk to GeoDNet and do them the first hotspot giveaway that's going to be out, I think, at the end of the month, 26th of August, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
All you need to do is you got to be like a customer of Hotspotty.
Yep.
But which can be as low as $2 a month now. So like, there's no brainer if you just want to be able to participate on these giveaways, and then we participate in like a lot of things that we're coming up in the near future as well, and help us, of course, just sign up for Hotspotty, hotspotty.net, and then we're gonna start. We have a lot of a lot of cool projects line up that we've been Hotspot. Yeah, Max, Hotspot giveaway. We're gonna give you a lot of 𝗪𝗵𝘁, and
Let's see. It's hotspotty.net,
project. Right? Hotspotty.net, exactly.
Right. So just like that.
Yes. Yeah. So the first one's gonna be GeoDNet miners. I think it's gonna be the three band one.
Yeah, triple band. Yep.
The triple band one. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. And the second thing, like Nick mentioned, was the DeepInDD. We have this new project that actually goes over very well with the project that you and Max have going on. That me and my Max also have started.
Everybody's got to have a Max.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. If you don't have a Max, you're gonna fail.
It's gonna be a lot harder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this. Which is kind of like an aggregator for the whole Deepin ecosystem.
And that's
we have
deepindd.net.
It's deepindd.com right now. But what I'll tell people is that whatever is on the website right now it was like an MVP that we built, like a proof of concept that we did like a couple months ago, or even more. Actually, it's been a long time, and we haven't had time to touch it. So the whole thing is going to be very, very different from what's in there. There's going to be a lot more data. We are actually doing a lot of cool AI stuff as well with the data. So it's gonna be cool. I'm super excited. We're gonna release something very basic initially, and then hotspotty.net. And then we're gonna start iterating from there. And I believe that by the end of the year, we're gonna have something really, really cool. But nothing compared to what's online right now. So don't get too excited. But yeah, it was crazy because when we went to Paris for the 𝗱𝗫𝐶, there was a lot of people talking about DeepInDD that they were actually using to research all the Deepin projects, and like, whoa, we launched something, but it was like we didn't advertise, we didn't do anything. It just like was like a I don't know, couple 3 days play around with the data that we had. But yeah, then the next update's gonna be hopefully like much nicer. I'm super excited, Dels.
I'm psyched. What's the I saw this thing from Max. I don't know about your Max, but my Max is really good on camera. He just doesn't like going on camera. I always tease him about it. And your Max is pretty good. Like they're both smart people, but it's like getting them on camera is the hard part.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
Usually,
Okay, what's this sensor project? Is it still top secret? This thing that you're doing, that you're building?
no, I mean it's not like it's nothing too complicated. I don't think I can share my screen, right?
Uh,
Screen share, I can actually. I can, but I don't know. I mean, it's not very exciting
yeah.
because
Okay.
I have a lot of work to do. But it's still. Let's see if I can get something.
You might be
Graph-
able to.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, let me see if I can do this because I
The
have
only.
like a pretty big monitor and it's kind of weird. Um, but basically, not. It's like I start playing with the rack whiz blocks just to get started. It's like super straightforward to start deploying on Helium. And then I use like it's called a soil moisture sensor. It's like a capacitive sensor that you stick in soil.
Yep.
Basically, change the capacitance uh, based on how wet the soil is.
Yep.
So you read this value, and then so the cool thing is just like I was able to do in like a few hours, build the hardware, build the software, connect to Helium, connect to a database, and chart everything. So I think that was super cool. And then of course I need to start making it like a little bit better because everything like cables everywhere. Let's see if I can get something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's you shouldn't get too excited, but maybe I can get something showing here. Let's see.
Yeah. I'll see what. Okay. So there's another thing here. How do I pull
Let's see
that
if I.
in? Because I can see it in my little camera thing. Oh shit.
Like,
Hold on, I gotta
this.
put on my glasses. All right. Oh, spill air screen. Cool. So I can do. It's gonna take a second for me to get it right, and it will look ugly for a hot minute. But we
I
can
mean, it's
do.
not a big deal as well. So I just want to.
I think I can do it though. There we go.
Boom shakalaka. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just like the soil moisture. It's just like a number that goes from 550 to 250.
Okay.
So it's gonna keep changing. I need to make it like a little bit better. It's like, oh, if it's 550, it means it's in the air. If it's 250, it means in the water. And then you can like iterate from there. Actually, it's in my living room. It's 27.8 Celsius. It's quite warm. There's a humidity, and it's just like a little chart. Then I can check, like for example, let's say the last 2 days. I can see how all the data changed.
Super cool.
Uh, all this data is being sent. I don't remember if every like 30 seconds it goes from the sensors through Helium through the sensor to like through this database basically, and then Grafana is something they used to chart. It's
Nice.
just so cool. In a few hours, I was able to build everything. Of course, like there's a lot of things that it was just like a matter of like putting together and typing a bunch of code. Um, but it was quite easy, right? Like for a company who actually wants to deploy on the Helium network, it was super straightforward. So my next idea is just like, okay, get this the hardware, make into a little its own PCB,
Yep.
and the way that people can buy the PCB or like I can give away, I don't know, and then they can build for themselves. Because then the idea is like this is just one. I could have one for each main plant in the house that I need to track, and then it just works, like especially if
Rad.
this thing it's on Helium. Most places already have coverage, so people actually don't necessarily need to worry about anything else. You can put a little battery so that if you put a battery with a solar panel, means it's gonna last basically forever. So I can just give to my mom, for example. um, Yes, Gray Hat. This is the backend database is InfluxDB, which is like a database that's kind of like optimized to receive time 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 database, so time data, right? Like a data per time.
Okay.
So people use like this InfluxDB and Grafana to monitoring servers, uh, anything that you want to chart that happens in terms of sensors. I would say that. Grafana and InfluxDB, and of course Helium is super cool. My idea is that once I got everything running, I'm gonna write a little tutorial, maybe make some videos. I would
Yeah.
like to know if anyone in the community also will be interested in seeing that, and if you have any questions. And yeah, going back to the roots, I guess. I mean,
Love
it's
it.
just like a weekend thing, right? So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome. That's super cool to see. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's neat once you kind of figure out how to like the basic steps of adding a sensor to Helium. And I think right now that's still for when I look forward at the future of Helium, it's really going to be about empowering kind of normal people to figure out how to use it, versus just the nerds or like ultra interested people. And we're not there yet. Like, it's still, you have to get everything right. And I was just doing this yesterday, getting a sensor on the network. I didn't set the region right. Like, it was, and you had to go and use an AT command, and the AT commands don't line up. So at first I had set it for Australia, and then I was like, oh no, it's not 4, it's 7 or whatever it was. Like, it's a bunch
Yeah.
of, you really have to learn to love. And it's taken me actually a year or two to really love like the problem solving part of it. I used to just get frustrated and pissed. Like, why is this so fucking hard? And now I'm starting to like enjoy it a little bit, where it's like, oh, cool. Like, you think you got me? Like, no, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll go through the docs. I'll get all my homies to help me out and go through it and like enjoying the process of troubleshooting. But for mass adoption, like that's not going to be there. So it's super cool if you're
Yeah. I
doing.
mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, and if that's one of the idea of making this, no, I wouldn't say course, but these like tutorial videos.
Yep.
I'll try to find a way to make as easy as possible for the beginners to understand.
Yep.
I mean, the whiz block from rack is already super straightforward in terms of the hardware. Of course, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because I'm gonna build the PCB.
Yeah.
But for people who want to get started, I played around with the Seed Studio starter kit for LoRa
Yep.
and the rack one, and I would say the rack one is like much easier to get started for someone that doesn't understand hardware.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, maybe that's what I should be doing over on MetSci, and maybe we work out something together. Where we do like a couple of videos, like, hey, here's some really basic stuff on how to do hardware 101.
yeah, I mean, I would be happy to part of the video to use the platform as well, right? Like how to set up that sensors in the MetSci, how to make few sensors on that, and then go from there. I think that
Yeah.
could be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I
at the
think
end
there's
of the
like,
day, we wanna see usage in the network, right?
yeah, 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 totally. I think that's yeah, 100% right. Maybe that's the way to go, because I see in the pot growing world, those people are always like 10 years ahead of technology, just because the crop that they have is so much more profitable than anything else. So every little piece that they get out is super super important to them. And those guys are fired up on soil moisture sensors, and just like monitoring what's going on. And I think it's really neat just to kind of look around, and whatever your feelings on pot are, is like, just set that aside. Don't be super pissed that someone's getting high, and like, oh, these guys are really ahead of everyone else on this stuff. Let's learn from them.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That would be cool. I don't know how legal is to do in like if they do it online or something like that. Because like here in Portugal, it's not illegal, but it's decriminalized. So I don't think I could make a video of me like growing pot and making like a nerd. Let's get
Yeah,
high
yeah,
and nerdy with me or
yeah.
something like that.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, because pot is certainly like a really easy plant to grow. I mean, there's a reason they call it weed, but you could grow anything. You grow tomatoes, whatever, and do like time lapse stuff of it, and it might be fun. But I think it's much more like the technology versus the crop. And so if you can show the average person, and this is the same thing I'm trying to do on the VO2 Max thing, is like, hey, you have to have just two things, really just one thing, to figure out how to use this amazingly complex and awesome piece of technology, and that is a curiosity and the ability to follow instructions. And if you can do that, then I can show you the rest of the stuff. If you can also solder when you come in, that's going to make everything a lot easier, because soldering is just a skill that takes a little bit of work to get decent at. But you can be a bad solderer and still make a rad project.
Yeah, soldering is fun. I like
I don't know if I'm there yet.
I mean, of
It
course,
is.
it depends on it
Yeah.
depends a lot, but like I've teach like kids to solder, and it's like super cool, like to see the things getting glued together.
Yeah.
And then of course you are already in the SMD phase, so you're like level 2 or 3. Then it's the second level when you like have the solder paste, and you need like with a tweezer like place the components. You need
Yep.
to like solder oven.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, I've got I got my eye on this microscope, or this digital microscope, so I can put a big screen in front of me and have the digital microscope looking down on the board, and then I can actually see what's going on, because I'm always putting on my glasses, just like, oh, what is going on down there?
Yeah,
So I gotta read some up on it.
microscope can help. If you have like you can solder in the oven, or you can also use like an air gun, right? They have like this air gun they use to
Yep.
solder. So those are a bit easier to see what's happening.
Huh.
Yeah,
I'll have
there's
to
so
try
many
that.
tricks that you learn when you play with electronics, because physics also is invisible, right? Like electricity is invisible. So a lot of things you have to imagine in your head when the circuit is happening. But like, for example, get a thermal camera, you can see where in the circuit it's some problem is happening that you can fix. And there's a lot of cool things that just learn by doing. I think that's the best part.
Yeah, yeah. I always like do it, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I just use YouTube to learn all this stuff anyway. Um,
I mean, your Discord is a great. There's a great community of people just building great stuff and sharing stuff there.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing
There's
to
some
just
super cool stuff
follow.
going on. Yeah. I look at all the stuff there. There's folks automating all these like giant growing operations, which is super cool. And seeing what's going on there, and then there's who's the guy down in Texas who's doing like people counting stuff, and then he's always like fixing something. He's like this total wizard with fixing hardware. So yeah, I think just sharing that information and making it so, just like you did for me at the very beginning, is like, hey, here's how to do this thing step by step, and all you need to start is the ability to copy paste, and if you can do that, I can get you to the next step, and you'll eventually get to the point where you're like, oh, I'll try this thing for myself and see what I can write. And now with ChatGPT, it's like a massive level up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, exactly. I think with chat, yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is amazing because it can help answer some questions when it comes to like something. Sometimes you can find online, or even like, I guess a lot of times I'm even going to ChatGPT before going to Google, um,
it's
and
wild, huh?
yeah, it does help.
Yeah,
It helps a lot. Yeah,
yeah. I've got to
I'm
do. Let's
impressed.
see. On ChatGPT, I think I've got to go back and figure out some of the sensor stuff I did, because it gave me like enough information that I thought I was right on a decoder, but not enough information that the decoder was useful yet. And I think that might be the next Medio Scientific video I do, is that like figuring out how you get your decoder working, because the decoder
Yeah,
thing is a
what?
really difficult thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I haven't. I should play around a little bit more because for what I did for my project, for example,
Hmm.
I basically on the console I just said to like, okay, just send me the whole bit, like just whole data stream, and then I
Yep.
parsed everything. Go like on the end side. I didn't like because you can pre-parse in the console and send the data to like whatever you want to go already uh, properly formatted,
Yep.
but you can also format after you send that data as well, right? So that's what I did because I had a little bit. It was a bit more easy. That was a bit easier to understand. Like, okay, I have all this data coming. I can copy and paste. I can just like, okay, what it is, each of these things.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's figuring out
but
how to
yeah,
look at the stuff and what to look at and what to ask. I mean, I think there's, and maybe there's plenty of these resources already out there, but just having um, people to ask like what you're supposed to look at is a lot of times, a lot of times it'll be like, oh, you kind of look at the wrong thing because they'll get super technical really quickly. But a lot of times it's like, oh, that thing that you're really trying to solve doesn't matter at all. Like it's an error code you can ignore versus fixing
yeah.
the
I
whole
mean,
thing.
and a lot of times, like, another tip that I tell myself:
Mm.
go take a nap,
Yeah.
uh, or go
Just
do
walk
something
away.
else.
Yep.
Yeah, some because I don't know how many times it happened with me that I've been like struggling with so hard with something. All I need to do is like go to sleep, go take a shower, go for a walk or
Yep.
something, and then try in a few hours in the morning or something like that. Because otherwise, you just sometimes you get stuck and it's really hard to get out until you like clear your mind and
Yep.
have some
Yeah.
other
Yeah. Go do
ideas.
something else. Have something else, some other hobby to go fiddle with for a bit. Cool. I think the soil moisture sensor is good, and the Maker Fab's one that I did a bunch of work with that was super easy. So maybe I'll kind of revisit that and see if I can make that even easier. Although there's no soldering involved in that. That's just like you have to plug in a cable and program it, which is kind of cool. But it might be neat to have like a little project where like, hey, here's step one is solder this thing, and step two is to program it, and step three is to put it in your house. I know, Lee's gone for a week, and she's worried that I'm going to kill all of her plants because we got like all these plants around the house, not pot plants, spider plants and money tree and figs and fig tree and all the rest of them. It'd be pretty cool if she had a little system that she could just look at on her phone that's like, oh yeah, Nick's actually watering the plants.
Yeah, I sent you a link. There's this project that I did in the past, actually, to teach people how to solder. I built like a metronome, metronome is a little tool that makes like tick tick tick
Yep,
noise
yep.
when you like
Oh
when you
yeah.
play music.
Yeah.
So I let me check. It's like a blog post that I had from like long time ago. I think I had all the components. Uh,
Oh, let me drop it in the chat here.
I would check because I released, yeah, I have it in a GitHub repository from 7, 8 years ago. Okay, um, that you can download the you can download everything. The like the PCB, you can manufacture the PCB anywhere for like a few bucks, and
Yeah.
then you can buy the components and you can solder. It's like it's a very starting project, but it's super cool for you to like learn how to solder, and you have a little metronome. Something nice to do with kids,
Yeah.
because there's a music part and everything else.
Oh, rad. Love it. Like these guys are all fired up on the different sensors out there. I think one of the things, one of the comments I saw this morning, I think came from Grey Hat, was this idea that we're living in a world now where you don't have to have gone to college and gotten a 6-year degree to accomplish something. Like you probably need that to understand something deeply, especially in these really specific technical fields. Although it's not a requirement. There's plenty of people who didn't get a master's in whatever who get this stuff. But we're just living in this world where the most important thing you can do is open your mind,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like if you open your mind up and just say like, all right, what's possible? It is now possible to find the experts, kind of put them in the right places, ask for their help, do the work yourself. Like it's a pretty amazing place we're living in right now. So it's like you're
Yeah.
just limited by your imagination. Like, oh, what, like this van thing? Like, what can I do with the van? Maybe like build a
Curiosity, right? Yeah, exactly. I think especially countries like the US, where education is so expensive, right? And it's like my whole electrical engineering in college cost me $50. I think less than $50.
That's not how we
Just
do
like
it
it was a subscription fee.
here. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say like you don't need it. Like you don't need it. Of course, you don't need it. That's absolutely.
Yeah.
It helps you struggle more. Uh, like I think going through electrical engineering, I don't recommend to people because it's pretty hard. You struggle a
You gotta
lot.
like it. Like plenty of people like it, and I think that's the thing is like find a thing you
Yeah,
like and
no,
do that.
exactly. I mean, I loved it. I still don't recommend because I think it's. I mean, unless you really like it, because it's hard, man. It's really tough. But nowadays, you definitely don't need it because I would say that the university helped me to learn how to think, let's say, or like more critically. But a
Yeah.
lot of the things that I learned in terms of programming, a lot of electronics itself,
Yep.
I learned by myself
Yeah.
or with the community
Yep.
because like my university is very focused on power electronics.
Hmm.
So I didn't learn any coding or like really PCB design in school. It
Dang.
was all by myself.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, you can do it. Just ask questions.
And here you are.
Yeah.
Do you?
Derek, it's that yeah. At that time, I think I used EagleCAD. Um, I think I don't know how it is right now because they used to be like a free version. Now
Mhm.
then they got bought out by Autodesk. I'm planning to do the new PCB for the plant sensor with KiCad. KiCad is this open source. It's pretty good. I miss using Altium, which is the software they use most of my life, but it's very expensive. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna pay for that.
Ah, yeah. Maybe what we do on one state of the network, or maybe actually Travis is probably already doing it on the Helium Hacks Happy Hour. But is find a specific project, and maybe once you have your sensor up, maybe we spend like a whole state of the network and we do a 2 hour long show, and it's like, yeah, here's what you're gonna need to buy, like get these things in hand, and then be near a soldering station, and we'll go through building the whole thing. That might be super fun.
That would be really cool. Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah, I need to get some like next week. I'm gonna take a week off. I
okay,
don't think I've done that in 3 years,
okay,
almost. So it's gonna be nice to like go to the north of Portugal. There's a lot of like forests and waterfalls and lakes and stuff like that. And then I
rad,
think once I get back on the weekends, I can go back and play with that sensor and get something out there.
cool, love it, dude. Well, let's wrap this thing up. I know you got the rest of your Friday to execute against. Um, But yeah, shit, yeah, always good to see you. I think next week we got Paul back on. He's off of his vacation and coming in here to crush with us and teach me things that I have no idea how these things work, but always super cool to have him on to explain it.
Awesome.
So, all
It
right,
was a
buddy.
pleasure, man.
Yep, always good to see
Cheers,
you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one.
Links,
Bye-bye.
like, subscribe, all that crap. See you later.